I paid for my sister's wedding, thought I'd be the best man, and got cut from the guest list days before. She used my money to throw a fairy tale wedding and treated me like the guy delivering the cupcakes. If someone told me this story, I'd probably laugh out of disbelief. But it happened to me. And to this day, people in my family still say I took it too personally. I'm the older brother. I've always been the one who got things done, who stepped up, who covered when no one else wanted to. So when my little sister got engaged, I was the first one to raise my hand and say, "Don't worry, I got you." The first red flag? I ignored it. I'm good at that. She asked for help with the deposit on the venue. I wired the money the same day. She said they needed a photographer they trusted. I fronted that too. Her fiancé, by the way. No offense, but the guy has the personality of a decorative pillow and the ambition of a brick. But hey, if she loved him, I wasn't going to stand in the way. Over the next few months, things started to pile up. The dress fitting, I paid. The cake tasting, I paid. Custom invitations, paid. Emergency last-minute DJ change. Yep, I covered it. Every time she called me, it was for another tiny thing. And every time, I said yes. Because that's what big brothers do, right? I didn't ask for anything in return. Except one thing. Literally one thing. I asked if I could stand with her at the altar. Not even as man of honor, or anything dramatic. Just as her brother. As someone who had her back from day one. And let's be honest, who made half the wedding even possible. She said, of course, that I'd be standing next to her fiancé's best man, right by the officiant. That meant the world to me. I even bought a new suit, tailored, not rented, because I wanted to look sharp, proud, like I belonged there. Fast forward to 2 weeks before the wedding. I hadn't received an official invite yet, which felt weird, but I figured maybe it was one of those modern weddings where they go paperless or whatever. Then, I got a call from our cousin. She was confused. "Hey, I didn't see your name on the seating chart. Did you say you're not coming?" I blinked. "What seating chart?" She sent me a photo. And sure enough, my name wasn't there. Neither was mine, nor a placeholder for me near the altar. Nothing. I tried to call my sister. No answer. Texted her. "Hey, just saw the chart. Is there a mistake?" She replied 3 hours later with, and I quote, "It's complicated. I'll explain soon." No period. No emojis. Just, "I'll explain soon." The wedding was in 9 days. I tried calling her again. Straight to voicemail. I messaged her fiancé. He said, "Hey man, I think it's best if you talk to her." Oh, I planned to. But first, I needed to sit with the fact that I had shelled out over $8,000 over 6 months, taken time off work, booked a hotel in her city, and was now, apparently, not invited. I did the only thing I could think to do. I called my mom. Now, let me pause and say, my mom has that special brand of I don't get involved energy that somehow manages to make everything worse. She listened, hummed a little, and then said, "Honey, I think she's just overwhelmed. Maybe there was a mix-up." A mix-up? Right. So I waited. The next morning, my sister finally called. And her exact words were, "I didn't think you'd make such a big deal out of this." I'm sorry, what? She told me the final guest list was tight, and her fiancé's family had more people coming than expected, and they needed to restructure the front of the ceremony, which is apparently code for cut the guy who paid for the whole thing. I asked her if this was some kind of joke. "No, it's not personal. You'll still come to the reception, right?" I was silent. "You know you're like a father figure to me," she added, as if that somehow made it better. I hung up. I didn't yell. I didn't curse. I just ended the call. Because I realized something in that moment that I probably should have known a long time ago. This wedding wasn't about love. It wasn't even about family. It was about appearances. And I wasn't part of the image she wanted to present. So there I was. $8,000 lighter. Ghosted by my own sister. Uninvited from a wedding I basically funded. And expected to show up at the reception like some grateful second-string guest who should be honored just to get a slice of cake. I don't know what hit me harder, the betrayal or the stupidity of realizing how many signs I ignored along the way. The way she dodged clear details. The vague texts. How every conversation was about what I could help with, but never about how I was doing. Honestly, it was embarrassing. I felt like a background character in my own family. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized. I had a choice. I could do what I always did. Smile, be the bigger person, show up, fake laugh through it all, and go home resentful. Or, I could flip the script. And let's just say, I've never been great at playing dumb once I know the game is rigged. The first thing I did was call the vendors. Why? Because guess whose name was on most of the payments? Mine. Venue deposit? My card. Photographer? I paid directly. Cake. Guess who sent the transfer? Even the DJ contract was under my name, because I helped her find him through a coworker. So I made a few polite phone calls. Nothing dramatic. Just asked each vendor what would happen if I needed to cancel. And let me tell you, the power you feel when people say things like, well, since you're the listed client, we'd need your authorization for anything to proceed, is unmatched. But I wasn't reckless. I wasn't out for total destruction. What I wanted was a conversation. I wanted my sister to actually see what she was doing. So I gave her a chance. I called her and said, hey, we really need to talk before I make some final decisions with the vendors. She freaked out. What are you talking about? What decisions? Well, since all the contracts are under me, technically I have some options. But I figured I'd talk to you first, out of respect. Suddenly, I wasn't so disposable anymore. She showed up at my apartment an hour later, completely in panic mode. No makeup, hair pulled back, clearly mid-breakdown. You wouldn't actually do that, would you? I handed her a printed spreadsheet of every payment I'd made. It was titled The Cost of Being Cut. Line by line, I broke it down. This is what I gave. This is what I got. She looked at it, speechless. And then I asked her something that made her face fall completely. Why didn't you just tell me I wasn't welcome? She stammered, said it wasn't like that it was about numbers, seating, space. I cut her off. You had no problem making room for my bank account. Just not for me. She got quiet. Really quiet. Then, for the first time in this whole circus, she actually apologized. Like, sincerely. Tears and all. Said she felt pressured by her in-laws, that her fiancé's mom had basically taken over everything, and that she didn't know how to push back. I thought if I just went along with it, it would be easier. I shook my head. Easier for who? We sat there in silence for a few minutes. And then I told her, you have two choices. You either make it right, or I make some calls. She didn't say anything, just nodded, and left. I didn't know what she was going to do. And to be honest, I had made peace with both outcomes. Either she stepped up, or the wedding was going to hit a wall she never saw coming. She didn't say anything, just nodded, and left. For the next 3 days, nothing. No calls, no texts, no updates from anyone in the family. The wedding was still moving forward. I wasn't hearing anything from the vendors, so clearly no cancellations had happened. But from her? Silence. Then I got a text. Not from her directly. A group text. It was me, her fiancé, our parents, a couple of cousins, and the message was short. Hey everyone. Just a quick update. We've made a few adjustments to the ceremony. Happy to share that my brother will be standing with us after all. That was it. No explanation. No acknowledgement of what happened. No personal message before or after. Just an announcement to save face in front of the family. My phone started blowing up with replies. So glad everything's good now. Yay. That's amazing. Family always wins. I didn't respond. I just stared at the screen, feeling like I'd been cleaned up and shoved back into the picture so it wouldn't look messy. It was clear. This wasn't about making things right. This was about keeping up appearances. But fine. I play my part. I showed up to the rehearsal with my suit pressed and my game face on. I nodded politely, shook hands, smiled in the group photos. No one said a word about the weeks of silence or the fact that I'd nearly pulled the plug on the entire event. The ceremony itself was nice. Over the top, but nice. Rustic barn venue, fairy lights, custom signage with their initials burned into wood, the whole Pinterest-core dream. I stood up there like nothing had ever happened, said my line when I was supposed to, and clapped at the right moments. At the reception, I gave her a card. Inside the envelope was a neatly folded copy of the same spreadsheet I'd shown her at my apartment, the full breakdown of every dollar I'd spent. And under the total, in bold, no repayment necessary. But maybe don't forget who showed up before the caterer. She never said a word about it. She danced. She laughed. She thanked everyone for coming. Posted a photo of us later with the caption, "Best brother ever." I liked the post. I'm not made of stone, but it didn't feel real. It felt like someone trying to patch a hole with glitter. Still, I thought that was the end of it. Until, a few months later, we met up for coffee. No event. No family. Just her and me, sitting in a quiet corner of a coffee shop where the barista called out names too loudly and the music was just slightly too indie. We talked about regular stuff at first, work, marriage, how her husband still couldn't figure out how to load the dishwasher properly. And then, out of nowhere, she reached into her purse and slid something across the table. A check. Not for the full amount, not even close, but a solid chunk. I know this doesn't cover it all, she said, but I wanted to start making it right. It caught me completely off guard. Not the money, but the fact that she brought it up on her own. No guilt trip. No sarcasm. Just ownership. I asked her why. Because I treated you like an ATM with a sentimental quote attached. And you deserved better. That line hit harder than I expected. We sat in silence for a bit. I folded the check and put it in my wallet. I told her she didn't need to pay me back. I'd already let it go, but I appreciated it. Genuinely. This isn't about the money anymore, I said. It's about feeling like I mattered to you as much as your color scheme did. She laughed, a real one, and said, you always mattered. I just forgot to act like it. We left the coffee shop without hugging. That's not really our thing. But the energy between us felt different. Lighter. A few days later, she texted me a photo of the check, torn in half. Deposited the amount instead. It's scheduled. Just wanted to prove I wasn't bluffing. I replied with a thumbs up and the classic appreciated. And that was it. No dramatic heart-to-hearts. No family intervention scenes. No perfect ending where everything magically resets. But you know what? That was better. Because for once, it felt real. In the months that followed, things between us went from awkward to normal again. Slowly. Naturally. No forced Sunday dinners or fake, we should catch up soon messages. Just small stuff. Sending each other funny TikToks. Commenting on posts. She even asked if I wanted to help plan our parents' anniversary party. And this time, she let me pick the guest list. At some point, we had another small moment. We were helping our dad move some boxes, and she looked over and said, I still feel like crap about how I handled everything. I shrugged. Good. You should. She laughed, rolled her eyes, and said, but seriously, I learned a lot. About boundaries. About people-pleasing. And about not screwing over the only person who shows up every single time. I didn't say anything back. I didn't need to. Because sometimes, people don't need to be dragged through the mud to understand they messed up. They just need to live with the silence long enough to hear themselves. And if you're wondering whether I ever got back all the money I spent, no, not even close. But here's the thing, I got something better. I got to prove to myself that I could draw a line. That I could call someone out without burning the entire relationship to the ground. That I could be generous and still expect basic respect in return. It wasn't about the wedding, or the money, or the canceled seat at the altar. It was about reminding someone I love that I'm not here to be used, passed over, or pushed aside when things get too complicated. And yeah, maybe that check helped a little too. So if you ever find yourself bending over backwards for someone who wouldn't cross the street for you, take a step back. Look at the spreadsheet. Look at the seating chart. And ask yourself, are you being included or just tolerated? There's a difference. And once you see it, you don't unsee it.